Hello, everyone. Welcome to Life Out Loud. I'm Junie Moon, your host. I'm thrilled you're here. We're going to have an awesome show today. I am so excited. Before I bring on Robin, I just want to share with you a little bit about who I am, what I do, and why I created Life Out Loud. So I am a certified shadow work facilitator and transformational coach. I help people, I help people do a lot of things. And it's similar to what Robin does today. I can't wait to dive in. My passion is to help people soar in their life, to be able to get out of their way and shine their unique divine light. That's a lot of what we're talking about today. And I do it by lowering the volume of the inner critic inside people's heads, all the voices that say you can't, you won't, you're not good enough, all that stuff. And then I help people really step strongly in their life and their mission. And I do that one-on-one. I do that in workshops. I travel around the country doing retreats. And so if you're interested in that at all and finding out more about my work as a shadow worker, you can go to innercritictamer.com, and I'd be happy to talk to you and meet you there. And I created Life Out Loud because I love living life out loud, and I love seeing people live fully life out loud. And there's some amazing people doing great work, leaders that are pioneers that are really walking their talk, sharing tools to help people really step strongly in it, whatever it is that they're wanting to create for their life. And so I thought, what a great platform to create Life Out Loud, where I can have these people come and share their gifts, share their wisdom with you. And I get to hobnob with them and hang with them. So it's a good deal for me. It's a good deal for all of us. We all win. And today I have Robin Sol Lieberman, and I'm going to pull up her bio right now and tell you who this amazing woman is. Robin is a cultural anthropologist. She's a communications consultant and the author of the most amazing book called The Charisma Code, Communicating in a Language Beyond Words. I have to admit that I have not finished it, but I am eating it up and I'm savoring every word. It's so yummy. And we're going to talk about that. She speaks to a wide audience, from prisoners to diplomats at the United Nations, helping people and companies communicate more effectively. And one of the other things is during this most recent emotionally heightened political season, Robin was a regular TV and radio guest expert on Fox, the CW, and Sirius XM. She was giving so much of her wisdom about body language and, so many things. She has so many gifts, and we're going to connect with her in a second. And you can find out more about her at truecharisma.com, and she even has a charisma quiz there, but she'll tell us all about that later. So let me lower that and let me show you who this Robin Sol Lieberman is. You are on the screen, girlfriend.
Hi, everyone. Great to be with you, Junie, across the country. I know you're out in the East Coast, and I'm here in the West Coast, and our listeners, I'm sure, are all around. So amazing what technology can do, bringing us together.
Yes, absolutely. And when we got on video today, I was like, hey, we have the same earrings on. I mean, we're in sync. We're in sync.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Junie. And I love that you're Junie Moon, and my middle name is Sol, Robin Sol, which means sun in Spanish. And so that the sun and the moon together wearing our blue earrings, we're ready to dive in here and live out loud, I think.
Absolutely. That's so true. So, Robin, I've known you. I met you like 10, 12 years ago. I've been watching you do such unbelievable work in the world, and you've just recently released your book, The Charisma Code. So many things that we could talk about, and today we are going to talk about our body as a tool for communication and what is charisma. There's so many things. Before we dive into that fullness of topic, I'm just curious, what led you to this place and time with this body of work? I mean, I know that that's like your whole life, but what were some of the maybe crossroads or moments where you were like, this is my path and this is my voice and this is the work I want to do?
I ask myself that almost daily. You know, it's interesting to me. I think that the charisma code in many ways, because it's an expression of who we are, putting who the inner parts of ourselves out into the world. There's this knowing of having to know what we are to be able to express ourselves fully and authentically. And so the reason I ask myself this question every day is because it's kind of like, okay, so who am I now? What am I giving out to the world? And it really, though, began for me when I go way back in time. I was about 20 years old. I left college for an independent study in Nepal and Asia. I was studying Asian shamanism, actually, and I was living with numerous families. One in particular, I fell in love with the shaman's son. I mean, wearing our kurtas and saris, and having one of the richest cultural experiences that I think certainly that I had ever had, coming from Southern California. And I'm very slow at learning foreign languages, so I did not speak their language, Nepalese, and I yet was having these profound connections, these profound inner relations with these individuals. And I thought to myself, what is it, if we're not speaking with words to each other, what is it that we are, how are we connecting? Because I'm in love with this boy, I'm in love with this family. They would like it if I became part of their family, but like, we haven't even really talked about, what's meaningful to you with words. But we talked about what was meaningful through another language, which I call charisma, a language beyond words. And really, that's my owning of the word charisma. So, I mean, the part of the charisma code, the book that you're referring to, is it goes into, it goes into what charisma has been through the ages. It was actually originally a biblical word, meaning the gift of grace. It's a Greek word used in the Bible for the first time. It means the gift of grace. And I thought, well, that's interesting. What's grace? And so for me, the reason I've claimed this word is because connection is what I care about. You ask, what led me to do this work? It's about connection. And I think that words like love, like gratitude, connection, God, all those words have kind of turned into cliches for many people, for me. And so I wanted to say, okay, what's an untapped word that would allow me to tap into the magic that I tapped into as a young woman, as a cultural anthropologist, and as now a communications consultant? What word would that be? And I call it charisma.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm reading your book right now, and as you're speaking, like your voice is in my head as I'm reading it, and the things you were just saying were some of the things that really popped out at me about the language beyond words. I remember you speaking about that in the book, and it brought me back to this time when I did a 10-day silent retreat at a yoga ashram. And I know a lot of people out there that know me go, June, silent retreat, 10 days, how'd you do it? But it took a little while to calm down. But anyway, one of the things that I found was so magical, as you used the word magic before, was getting beyond the personality, getting beyond the words, getting beyond what we typically use as a way of communicating. And I found it profound, that the connection of the eyes, the connection of the breath, the heart, watching each other's body language opened us up to another whole world. And so I've experienced that, and yet I know a lot of people have not. So I'm wondering, with this experience, this body of knowledge, no pun on words there, but this body of knowledge of beyond words, what are some of the things that you've discovered and talk about in your book to help people actually connect to that charisma? What is that charisma? What have you learned? Tell us more.
That's great. Junie, you and I share a similar path in silent meditation retreats. That's also been one of my primary groundings of discovering this language beyond words. When I'm working with clients in communication, I'm looking at helping them figure out what they're feeling. So sensations. Right now I have sort of my hand on my heart. I've got my hand on my solar plexus here. It's this full-bodied sensational experience of being human that I'm looking at helping my clients get in touch with. So when like you and I are communicating right now, I'll tell you what I'm experiencing and then how I would use that in relationship with you in this moment. So, okay, so you've asked me a profound question, so I can notice I've got some excitement. There's some fluttering in my heart that I would then code in my mind as, okay, that's excitement. I have a little tightening in my lower belly, which I think is just this, again, if I bring that to my mind, it's, okay, we're on air, we're communicating. You're asking me questions that are very meaningful to me. I want to make sure that I answer in honesty. So there's a tightening in my lower belly, and I find that a lot of humans, a lot of us people, we get that tightening a lot. And the issue is we're not aware of it, and our culture does not really give us a lot of opportunities to say, hey, when you feel that tightening or the butterflies, take time with it. So for me, what I do with my clients is right now, I'm gonna breathe into that. And it's literally, I don't need you to know I'm doing it, but in my mind, I'm opening the tightness so that literally I have the whole instrument now to communicate to you. And there's two reasons for this. One is that, actually three, I feel more at ease. So I'm now more present with you. And when I'm present with you, we actually can go some really cool places.
Exactly.
But if I'm stuck in this, there's a defensiveness to the tightness in my body that then I'm literally, without even necessarily knowing it, defended to us having a connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the intention is, okay, so I'm more at ease. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to soften so that I can be more at ease and relate with you. And then I'm going to, and be able to be more present with you. And then also, Albert Pop Fritz was a scientist who in the 1970s was looking for a cure for cancer. And while he was trying to discover this cure, he realized that, oh my gosh, there's something called biophotons. We're communicating with little bits of light, little photons, and all life forms do. Plants, humans, animals, little bits of light. And these biophotons are constantly in relationship. You can call it a light language beyond words that is literally happening moment to moment. So you and I and all of our listeners are kind of somehow interconnected with these little bits of biophotons, and we're getting at a very visceral level, a very embodied level. We're getting who we are, and we're deciding in each moment with our animal brain, which is really just as brilliant as our neocortex that has these high thoughts and says, I want to come up with a cure for cancer. We're communicating in this language of light, this literal language of light, and this language beyond words every single second. And our animal brain is saying, are you trustworthy or not? Is what you're saying really what I'm feeling or not? And some people are better at receiving that language and others aren't. A more gross experience, gross meaning just not as subtle, is our body language. That's what I have mostly focused on in terms of when I'm out in the other world. It's like postures, and everyone is used to this. When we look at models in a magazine, it's like, I'm cool. I'm like, I got this, and it's like we can find this language. It's also very animal. Or I'm a little, I'm timid here, or I see all of me. I'm contracted in my lower belly there.
Yep.
And so the idea is to expand and to be our full animal selves, and to know that we're having animal in a relationship with others all the time.
So much there. So much there. So to pull out a couple of golden nuggets that I heard. Firstly, presence. When you're able to drop into the moment and just to scan your body, there's so much information there. And then to drop in to the body, to the sensation, and to be with it. I know you talked about that in your book, that if we could really allow ourselves to be here, doors open, communication opens, connection connection to ourselves and then connection to each other. But the other part that you also mentioned is the animal instinct, that we're not wired for pleasure, we're wired for survival. And so that animal instinct going, is she going to ask me any questions that are going to like throw me off, or am I safe? And we do this all the time with everything and everywhere we are, because that's how we're wired, in our bodies and culturally. You have to protect yourself and be careful. We're always told how to be, how not to be. I mean, that's the shadow work part, is who are we really? But what's covering it up? What are the masks that we cover up so that we're going to be okay? So what I hear you saying is a big piece of the charisma code, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is to slow it down, to drop into the truth, to really connect to this present moment of who we really are and what's really here for us, which allows our light to dance with each other, and my words, for our divine light to shine, for us to shine the truth of who we are, which allows us to really shine our charisma. Would you say that resonates with what you just said?
Absolutely. No, that was beautifully articulated, Junie. And the other thing I'd add to that is another dear scientist friend of mine, Dr. Roland McCratty at the Heart Math Institute. Are you familiar with their work, Heart Math? Yeah. They've been around for a while, and what their primary focus has been is looking at also how do we connect, how do we center and ground and have mindfulness, but through our heart specifically. And one of the things that I talk about in the Charisma Code as well is how when we are in a positive, heartfelt, emotional state, which is physical, and that's what I think I'm really, if our listeners get anything, it's to recognize that all these emotions and these intense sensations that some of us feel more than others, but that are always happening, are both assets and curses. And I'm just asking us to pay more attention to them and to work with them in a way that could help us connect better to our fellows at home and at work. So the scientist, Dr. Roland McCratty at Heart Math Institute, says, all we really have to do is breathe into our hearts, soften there also, and even just, practices which are really hip, from Oprah to corporations right now, are just gratitude practices. Simple things of, okay, or for me, I think about, I have an amazing partner right now, and I go into feeling about how grateful I am to have him in my life, or pets that I've had that I have such affection for, and I allow that to become, and this is what's so great what Heart Math is doing, is they have the science behind it. They're able to now measure the physical waves. So we talked about Albert Fritz with his biophotons. We have this electromagnetic heart energy that, if we tie this to charisma, when we think of charismatic idols, celebrities, religious figures, what do we think of? We think of a halo around them, right? So this idea that when we're in our hearts, we have this halo, and I think this might connect to your work too, Junie, which is this idea of living out loud. How can we have an electromagnetic current, this charisma, that isn't put on, but is coming from us having mindfulness and connection to what's actually happening in our bodies.
Yep. And to me, it's a yes and. Yes, the gratitude, and I know in your book you talk about how to embrace the gratitude, and if you're not doing the gratitude list, just bless everything and see the in as many things as you could possibly see, and just looking, at your dog or the elliptical machine that's over there, just being, just feeling the blessedness of each thing, everyone, every moment, the sun, whatever it is, changes our state. And so I think there's so much gold there. And again, the present moment and awareness, there's so much gold there. And that, you mentioned my work. I think it's also so important for us to realize and have compassion for ourselves that we've had some programming from and you mentioned that in your book too, about, what our parents said, what our culture says, that we at a very young age were bombarded by these messages of how to be, how not to be, and we started cutting off aspects of who we are. This is, how we look at it in shadow work, of what can I really show, and what might I hide? And if we're hiding any aspect of who we are, to me, it's shutting down our essence and doesn't allow us to really connect to the true charisma current that you're talking about, which connects us. Because if I'm in the, ooh, I might be judged, or ooh, something's wrong with me and I'm not good enough, I'm not going to be able to be present for you. In fact, right before we came on, right before I pressed, go live, I went, oh, my hair looks so horrible today. And, and I haven't thought about it since. It was like, I put it in front of me and I said, all right, I'm having a bad hair day. And then I'm just thinking, if I were to be focusing on, oh, what are people thinking of my hair? And, oh, I should have spent more time on my hair. Would I be present here? Would I be listening to you? So to me, there's so many pieces to this puzzle of showing up fully so that we can really bring our gifts forward. And I know that's a big piece of what you talk about in the Charisma Code. Might you want to talk about the value part, tie it in with the body part, and wherever else you want to go, Robin? You've got so many golden nuggets in that book, and who you are and what you've learned. What else might you want to share? Oh, and guys, chat room's open. If you have any questions for Robin, please, right away.
Yeah, super. Thank you, Junie. So the first thing that comes to mind is you mentioned culture, that we have cultural programs, that a lot of what you do with your work is helping us calm the inner critic so that we can really show up to what's in front of us moment to moment, be it another individual or the sensations in our body. Yep. So one of the things that I want to talk about is culture now. And this culture I see as like it's an invisible Wi-Fi that comes in, and it's constantly affecting us, just like we're not aware of all the incredible Wi-Fi that's connected to our cellular devices, to our Bluetooth, even to our laptops. We have this culture is like that. It's this invisible power, and it's affecting us and programming us, if you will, regularly. So there are some cultural programs which are awesome, and we love them and we adopt them, and there's other ones that really don't serve us. And it's up to each individual, and this is what I try to get through in the Charisma Code, is that it's up to each individual to decide which of the messages, the Wi-Fi cultural messages that are coming in, they want to believe in and allow to be part of their world and their expressions, or not. So we can think about the way that then this connects to my body as a microphone, is that when the cultural messages are coming through, meaning like you get an experience of somewhere along the way your hair should look good. Well, me too. Like, I wanted my hair to look good because like that's part of how we present ourselves to the world. It's one of the great interfaces, just like body language is our clothes choices, our colors. So you have this idea, and that it's fine, now you get to decide if you want to care or not. And I guess that's really all culture is. It's just it's the values we choose to believe or not. And the way that we choose which ones we want to follow is we feel which ones feel good and which ones don't. I mean, that easy. It's kind of like, so, okay, so what does it mean to feel good? So I always think of openness in my body feels good to me. Closedness in my body doesn't feel good to me. So when I have a cultural program that says, that makes me close, like I should always get dressed up for a date, for example. If I close down on that, no, I don't want to. I want to wear blue jeans, and you know what? I just want to be my freaking self. Like I want to do some weird thing, with this or whatever. I mean, that's a very base example, but the idea is if I have that closed feeling, it's something for me to investigate. It's something for me to say, culture says that I should always get dressed up for a first date. And so I now am going to explore if that's really true for me or not. And this is how, I mean, charisma, yes, it's about having good connections and communication and being able to connect with people very different than ourselves. But it's also about being able to bring who you are deep in here into the world and change culture.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that really is, you know, in a nutshell, it is about connecting to who we really are, which is our power, which is our essence. And when we're able to really connect to that, that to me, that what you just said, to be what feels good, to be able to relax, allows us to open up and to truly connect. And one of the things that you talk about with body language and charisma is healing, and I don't remember exactly your words, but, you know, cross-culturally, you know, how to communicate across the world with all these different languages, how to use this work and be able to have peace in the world. Might you want to speak a little bit about how this work can actually bring that forward?
Beautiful. So, and I'll bring the book image here for our viewers. So you'll see, and that this, I just want to give credit to the incredible photographers and artists of this piece. This is Vivian Francis, Michelle Zuzmer, and John Rowe created this for the for the University of San Diego at the John B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice. So this is a symbol for, in many ways, this sort of secret symbol of the charisma code for me is about peace and justice. It's about how this face can connect to that face, and that color can connect to that color. And I think if we look at, regardless of what just happened with our current election and what we think Donald Trump stands for culturally, where we're at as a global society is that, well, as a society, is that we're a global society. We are entering into the emerging culture of the global citizen. And I think and the reason I say we are, it's not because I think we are, it's because we're literally having through internet. I mean, through the internet, through the ability to hop on an airplane, through the fact that there are refugees, to the fact that there are immigrants. The fact of the matter is, we each come from a different culture, even if we look the same. My mama told me something different than what your mama told you. And so we then come together and we're like, huh, you value that? Well, like, I don't. So what are we going to do about it? And the charisma code is an opportunity. And this is when I talk about how do we lessen the conflicts that we have with people at work and at home? So how do we lessen the time that we spent in misunderstandings and judgments of one another and drama? That's what I'm sick of. When you asked me first, what is it that inspired this work? I really don't have a lot of patience for spending time in drama and not getting each other. Like, I don't get not getting each other. To me, it's like, come on, guys, can we please? I mean, okay. You know, in the beautiful introduction you gave me, you spoke about my recent contributions to the news media during the political election, and so I watched a ton of CNN, Fox, and MSNBC to be on board with what was happening politically on the mainstream level. And I was like, and I know that I'm not alone with this thought. I'm sure many of our listeners and viewers have had the same, and you as well, Junie. But I was like, okay, I understand. As somebody also who's an artist in film, I understand a need for a good story. Like I get it. Like, I get that drama is part of life and the juice of being alive, and like, we gotta have some breaking headlines. I get it, but people, please, like, the amount of energy that is being spent in creating the drama and that political cycle. And I will say that that's just an example of what our culture values. So you know where else that insidious act is happening? It's happening at work. It's happening at home. It's happening when two people who are very different from one another it's like easier to say you're different than me, so I'm going to create drama with you than I am to get to understand you. So the one tool that I offer our listeners, and I offer this on my course, the Unlock Your Charisma Code, and it's a big part of the Charisma Code book, is one thing, which is to seek to understand before judging. To seek to understand before judging. That's the one piece that I feel that allows this face to connect to this face, this one to this one, to be able to actually receive the gifts that come in diversity, the innovation that a company can bring to the world when they actually are in relationship with the people who have different values. So instead of what you just said really pissed me off. Like, I know that when you made that comment about my hair, you didn't, but let's say you said, Robin, I love your new haircut. It looks super sharp. Like, it looks like manly. And I think in my head, oh my God, what she just said, she thinks I look like a man. My haircut sucks. My friend hates me. She's horrible. Junie thinks I'm terrible. And I run to the bathroom. Okay. And that's it. That's the end of our, instead, I could seek to understand before judging you and ask a question. And that's what I counsel a lot of my people to do. And in the Charisma Code as well, is to ask questions. So I could say in a neutral tone, and this again takes people having awareness of what's going on in their bodies. Because if you have a tightness here, it's going to come out here. And I'm going to say, oh my God, Junie, what you just said about my hair. I can't believe you just said that. What did you mean? What did you mean about what you just said about my hair? I look like a man. Because I'm not, this is where the mindfulness stuff comes in of, okay, I'm going to soften, neutral tone. What do you mean about saying that I have a short haircut and it looks like, what does it mean that it looks like a man? What do you mean by that? And I'm now seeking to understand before judging. And you have the opportunity to maybe say something like, well, I think it looks super sharp and chic, like Cameron Diaz, or, and then I go, well, she's hot. I don't think anything manly about that. Well, I'm sorry. You could say, I actually see that that's not what I meant. I was inarticulate. I mean that you look hot with your new haircut. So that's just an example of how we can change our interactions, finding neutrality, asking questions, seeking to understand before judge, and then that is utilizing the power of connection, or our charisma to connect.
Awesome. One of the things that popped out when you were like, like that's exactly what happens is we go into reaction. And where are those reactions coming from? The old programming. But if we allow ourselves to drop in again to the present moment and be curious, to actually be curious about what that person just said. I mean, hold on one second. The computer just clicked us a little different. Okay. So, I love the word curiosity, and I know you mentioned that in your book as well. Like, to actually be curious about where they might be coming from, because if we're assuming we know, or we've given the whole story to their one line of your hair looks a certain way, we're off to the races. We're in our stories, and we then are completely disconnected from that person. Yeah. But if we could actually meet them and have a dialogue and relate to them, who knows what would happen? And again, I talk about this with my boyfriend a lot, which is if we could just slow down the conversation. Sometimes it just speeds up because suddenly there's all these other people in the room because they're we're triggered, or we're thinking about past conversations or experiences. I mean, when we're born with such opportunity, possibility, and light, and then we have all these experiences that shape us. And I know you're on board with that because it's in your book, and it's what I believe as well. And so if we could just okay, wait a second, I'm feeling something here. Junie just said something about my hair. What's going on inside of me? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And then suddenly we have a dialogue and a connection, and a whole different story.
Yes.
Possible, right?
The power of vulnerability. Brene Brown, and I know she's somebody that we both respect a lot in our work, Dr. Brene Brown, has really taken off, and I'm so happy she has, and that mainstream culture has taken it out. The ability of the power of vulnerability. And I'm just looking at some of the comments here about how much people are loving your hair, and I think that. And it's so great, a casual out of bed look. I love that of course it brought in this idea of me to explain something I can imagine or that's happened to me. But it's fun to have style, and it's fun to have different style. It's fun that this person doesn't look like this person and this person doesn't like this. And some people, I say, okay, the first rule of charisma, not everyone's gonna like you. So, all right, there you go. Number one. Second rule, you must gift your gifts. So it's kind of like, how do I both deal with the fact that not everyone's going to like my choice or your choice of, we're using hairstyle, but I hope our listeners get what a massive metaphor this is for everything that matters to us. It's just a massive physical metaphor, but not everyone's going to like your hair or mine. And yet we have to gift our gifts. What does it mean to gift our gifts? Back to charisma as the gift of grace. To me, I'm interpreting grace as the intersection between separation and connection. When we use our power of connection, when we are more interested in understanding and excited about who each other are and how you might wear your hair versus I might wear my hair, what your tone of voice is versus my tone of voice, what you value versus what I value, that's when we have an opportunity to really contribute to the emerging culture of the global citizen.
Exactly. So well said. There's one thing I want to read that you wrote, which just really popped out at me. When you give people an experience of their value, you live in their hearts forever. And that just was like, oh my goodness. Like, if we truly can see the value in others, take a moment to get out of our own story, our own head, our own perceptions, our own inner dialogue, and go, who is in front of me? And what might I see? And what might I offer to this person with what I see? And come from that place versus what's wrong with the person, or the blame, or the shame, or the how they don't fit, or the problem. Like, if we could truly, truly see the value, you live in their hearts forever. Now take that to your loved ones. Take that to every person you come in contact with. I remember this gas station guy. It was the middle of the night. I needed gas, and it was cold out. And I remember, and I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to give him value right now. I'm just like, he came to my window. What do you want, lady? And I just said, thank you so much for being open. I really needed gas. How are you today? And he he was like, and like deeply moved, and he was like, no one asks me that. Thank you so much. If we can truly give that to each other, what kind of world would we have? And if we're coming from our truth and the charisma of our, the essence of who we are, getting all the bullshit out of the way and just shine and not be so worried about people liking us, because that's so true. Whole new landscape of the universe. I'm noticing the time. I want to put your offer up. You have a special gift for the people that are listening, guys. Take advantage of this. Let me put you up on the screen. Talk about your online course and how people can find you. Your work is so amazing.
Thank you, Junie. And talk about someone who has charisma. And I'm sure all of your listeners in your community know this. I mean, I do just want to say how the work that you did, the beautiful film of you painting yourself naked and showing us with all the colors that you are. I mean, if that's not charisma, I don't know what is. You were saying, I'm going to live out loud vulnerably. And then to add on top of that, I think what we're adding in this conversation is the ability then to what's the interface of that person who knows their value and shows their value, which is the first two steps of the charisma code. And then the third step, which you just brought up, which is to see others' value. So those are 3 steps. I break my course up into those 3 steps. And the idea it's unlock your charisma code. Unlockyourcharismacode.com is the URL. It talks about all of the different elements of the course. And specifically what we go into is, yes, using our bodies as a microphone, recognizing that we are constantly communicating, how to do that with others to communicate more effectively at home and at work, and also how to be able to connect with others in a way that allows us to collaborate with people very different than ourselves. That could be a kid that is different than you, or a parent that's different than you. It's really just a communication tool course. There's 7 modules. It comes with a copy of the Charisma Code as well as a red Liberty cap, which I can't tell you about, but it's really, really very, very cool. And it's a way to really anchor this work. And so that's a secret thing. It comes in a treasure chest delivered to your house. And Unlock Your Charisma Code is really just a way of taking this book, the Charisma Code, into an ever more experiential event. So it's a video course. The 7 modules, they have they guide you through the experiences, both with the workbook as well as then and I have an incredible video team. I just want to give a shout out to Abby and Brian Tenori. They've been amazing through this through creating this course, and it's brand new. We just launched it, so I'd love to offer your viewers a 25% discount. They will, like I said, get the book as well as the Liberty Cap and the treasure chest, and then it's a lifelong membership, and it's actually 100% guaranteed we'll send you your money back if you don't like it, sort of a situation. I really wanted to offer something that, again, spoke to my need of just being tired of wasted communications, tired of spending time in drama and unnecessary conflict, and an opportunity for people to have a good time in the human body. Because as somebody who feels a lot sensorily, it's taken me a really long time, and I still work on it every day, how to work with those sensations in a positive, impactful way versus one that keeps me shy and afraid. So it also addresses people who might have issues with anxiety because it's so uncomfortable to show themselves. So again, for those of your listeners who would like to communicate more effectively, unlockyourcharismacode.com. And then for the 25% offer, when you are signing up for the course, you'll just simply write unlock 33. That's probably very hard to see there, but unlock 33 would be their special code at checkout to get the 25% discount.
Let me actually write that down because I didn't have that. So what is the what's the code that they put in?
Unlock.
Unlock.
Mm-hmm. And then the number 33. Hmm?
Unlock 33. Okay, great. So I'll put that in the chat box. Unlock 33. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. And what's your main website for people?
Main website is truecharisma.com, and I can actually probably type this in right now. That is so neat. I love this. What a cool system you have set up here, Junie Moon. Truecharisma.com, and there is the book. It'll be easy to see. You could see there actually there's a link to the course, a link to the book itself. So if viewers are interested in that, it comes with the course also comes with a charisma coin, which has those 3 steps that I spoke about. And just to give your viewers a visual, you can see here the 3 steps of the charisma code: to know your value 1, to show your value 2, and to see others' value for connections. So there's an actual physical charisma coin that's really fun. And it's this idea of, I just want to encourage people to spend their currency of connection, to live out loud like you do, Junie, and in a way that is knowing who they are, showing who they are, and not being afraid to see who others are.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the things you said about not everybody liking you, I always remember one of my mentors saying to me, if everybody likes you, you're kissing way too much ass. and I never forgot that, because awesome. that was me. I was a people pleaser. I was so scared of falling short. I was so scared of screwing up and having people not like me or judge me that I walked around on eggshells, and I was so careful. And if I do that, I don't do that anymore. I mean, sometimes I slip and fall and find myself there, but what a way I lived. I lived like being so careful and cautious, and that did not allow me the truest connection and love and possibility in my life. So one of the things I think is important is, going back to we're wired for protection and survival, not pleasure. Once that part of us sees that we're actually causing ourselves pain, which is the exact opposite of what we really want, once we really see that living with anxiety, living with this tightness, living with this fear that we're going to fall short in some way is harming us, that opens up some really big doors, which is, a lot of the shadow work stuff. Again, back to your book, so many golden nuggets there about how to really work this, how to really open up. A lot of spiritual stuff too. Robin, I got to tell you that the spiritual words and a lot of the people you brought in just so beautifully. It's exquisite writing, and you are shining through that book. And we're at time, so I'm going to just say you've been shining for 45 minutes. And I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you being here. Thank you so much.
Likewise, Junie, so grateful for you and for all who tuned in to see us. And yes, I love that we have a shared mission in communicating more effectively by being who we are. Thank you, Junie.
You're welcome. Guys, it is about our gifts. Each and every one of you has a special gift. We need your gifts. We need you to shine your unique divine spark, whatever that is. So go pick up this online course and work it. You know, shine that charisma that's yours. You know, I mean, we each have our own spark. So find yours, shine yours. You could also, again, go to Inner Critic Tamer if you want to like work on that and get rid of some of the inner voices that are keeping you from shining your light. That's innercritictamer.com. Love, live, bless everything that you come in contact with today, and be well, and happy holidays to you all. My show is gonna be quiet until the new year. So until then, blessings, blessings, blessings. And I will see you in January. And again, Robin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Junie Moon.
Bye, guys.